1126 here in Empires of the Middle Ages. Last I left, we had the Germans just having started a big war with Britain. Well, that all sort of fizzled. I'm not sure where it's going yet, but before the Germans could do anything on this, the Britons held their whole hand. I think four out of 5 cards actually, for defense, and pretty much were resigned to, we're wiped, we're gone, this is over. The Germans, on the other hand, drew a Leader Dies Airless as their event card, and lost Norway, which, you know, is kind of the sucks. And other than that, they ended up mainly with a somewhat weaker leader and just sort of a distaste for going forward. There was unrest, etc., that had to be quelled. And then they used an additional card or two to try to convert Saxony. They've got it up to a 4. They need 2 more to get it to Catholicism. They'd kind of not noticed that they were already started on that. The French turned, and from Aquitaine continued their conversions in Spain, going with Leon. The Byzantines had a Leader Dies Airless as well. This is sort of the dramatic point in the game in terms of those cards are what caused major changes. And they lost Serbia and Macedonia. They got a very good ruler for administration, and military as well, but they basically decided to try to straighten their kingdom out instead of reconquering those territories right away. No one else really did anything. The poor Lombards are just hosed with whatever they try. They've been trying to roll, and without money and with a decent leader, it still is hard to get your values beyond anywhere. I'm going to try, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to succeed, in making these shorter and or less of them. I've been doing them every set of rounds, or every round. I'm not sure when nothing really changes that I have to do that. So I may come in when there's big changes to the board and direct you towards them. Right now the board's been the same for almost 100 years, basically. 1131, and Germany and Britain are still in sort of a semi-state of war where they're not actually acting against each other, but the Germans had to hold an extra card. Saw a number of conversions happen. Saxony went, and Leon went, giving victory points to those players. Elsewhere, anything interesting? The Poles have managed to rule Prussia and Livonia and fortify them so that they can actually be part of their tax base now. Britons went and regained Norway. And the Byzantines took back Macedonia and Serbia, grabbed their claims to them. That's it. Still in the 1131 turn, the Germans decided to launch their attack on the Britons, and they conquered it all. The Britons didn't even try to defend. However, at this point, with the Germans out of cards, the Britons are going to play a dynastic inheritance, forcing Germany to give the territory back or suffer a possible excommunication. I believe the Germans are going to go forward with the excommunication and accept it. This was too expensive and annoying to not allow. So they're going to refuse the Pope's orders. And we'll see what that has as an effect on them. The last one was painful, but survived, the one the French held. A Leader Dies Airless event hit the Britons, and now they're living in Norway with no claim to England anymore. They still have a couple of the Celtic areas, however. The Lombards are having trouble with this Venetian magnate who came out and actually conquered Verona on them. They retook it, but their economic situation, their cash is so low that they went and raided Provence. 1141, major events. Well, the Germans gained claim to all of Britain. I don't know if they had done that before, but in doing so, they used up all their cards, and the Norse came down and grabbed Sweden and Denmark. So it's kind of a reversal of situation there. Tuscans are definitely having trouble here. Those Venetians are giving them a lot of worries. They fortified, but their economy is going to crap. The Byzantines slid over and have been adding fortifications as well. Really, everybody is. Poland is entirely fortified. Germany, the person who thought of the idea and started it first, hasn't really managed as well as some of the other countries. Okay. Seen a lot of movement in the early part of this round. I just wanted to capture. The Venetians have nearly wiped the Tuscans off the map. They're back stuck in Lombardy as their home. That's their only remaining territory that they can make a capital. We have a Syrian magnate who has captured Anatolia and taken half of Armenia and half of Cilicia. And we just had a Leader Dies Airless event on the German Empire. Just as it was ready to go invade and take all the Scandinavian territories, they lose Saxony, which is one of their major holdings there. They got a pretty good leader out of the bunch, though. So 5-3-3. So they may or may not be attacking. I'm not sure. They've lost all their claim to those northern territories, so it's a lot less enticing. On the other hand, they may want to wipe the Norse out while they can. Well, good things come to those who wait. The Venetian magnate went away, and the 7th player is in place in Venice, which is a very powerful position. Venice, like Constantinople, is able to go to a +4 social state. There are a number of places that are able to do that, and is completely immune to the year of famine, year of plenty fluctuations that occur. This puts Tuscany in a really bad place, and they're probably not going to last long. Chances are that the Venetian player is going to become the de facto ruler in Italy. Anything else? The Germans did not advance into the Norse territories. I think I already said that. It's hard to remember what's going on. The other magnate is still there. All right, that's about all I can think of. 1151, and the Germans are back at war with the Norse and have conquered Denmark. They got a new Boar Bunny leader. They just got this after losing their tactical systems. The main interesting conflict between Venice and Lombardy didn't really go anywhere. The Venetians made one attack, draining both sides' treasuries. Now we have a 5-3-5 over in Lombardy and a 5-5-2 in Venice. So they're both good leaders, commanding pretty decent forces. That's it. Here we are in 1151, and we had that magnate in the out of Syria. Still hasn't taken Jerusalem, so there's no chance of a crusade, but it managed to take Armenia finally after having failed, after having gotten himself to the point where he can't raid anything anymore. The Byzantines didn't really defend that. They ruled their territory. They have a very good leader, actually, but the Tuscans, that's why we're actually filming this, are gone. They died airless, and I'll probably replace the ugly white counters with the real blue ones. So things won't look like they changed much, but Venice has now taken over. What happened was Lombardy was captured during the Venetian turn, and the Tuscans lost. They drew a Leader Dies Airless. All they held at that point was Rome, which is heretical. I'm not willing to force someone to play with a heretical leader. So they're kind of out of it unless something else shows up. And here we are in 1156, and the Germans have finished off at huge cost. Nearly all this money that's in here is from this operation. And those are some 5s showing up, a pile of 2s. To both sides, really. They've taken out the Scandinavians and knocked them off the board. which may just be a matter of time before they disappear. This has weakened Germany, however. They don't have the tremendous money that they had before, which means that a coalition could probably knock them out pretty easily. The question, though, is France, although they had a leader dies airless as well, as well as the Byzantines, getting a 332, they lost Castile, Brittany, and Toulouse out of it. Toulouse they regained. The question of would you rather have Germans or French as the major power is, something that Poland doesn't really want to answer. Certainly they'd rather see the Germans weakened a little bit, though, and see a war happening there, so they might actually push for that. The Poles actually just rolled and fortified further, to the point of it being kind of ridiculous. They have a 3-point fortification in Bohemia. 1161, and the depredations in the east continue. The Magnate took Silesia, and the Byzantines managed to take it back after a leader dies airless event. There was another Magnate over in Lithuania who has cut the empire in two. All the northern areas up here are no longer attached. The Poles took advantage of that, grabbed the territory, grabbed claim to it actually, and then the Byzantine emperor died and no longer is terribly interested in that. They have so many problems. Bulgaria also seceded. Just trying to think if there's anything else of any great excitement. I can't think of anything. 1166, and the Poles have advanced into Novgorod because the Byzantines can't defend those territories. They grabbed claim to it as well. Meanwhile, the Germans conquered the rest of the British Isles, making it less likely for any kind of success for whatever they are. The Britons turned Norse, turned homeless waifs in Constantinople. Nothing further really on the side with the Magnate. It gained a little bit of ground. Venice gained claim to Lombardy. The French had another leader dies airless, which allowed them to move their capital to Ile-de-France. And they got a pretty good leader out of the bunch. That's it. 1171, and it was definitely a consolidation turn. The Poles picked up Muscovy, however, and grabbed claim to it as well, thereby extending their position in the northeast. And the French grabbed Castile back and got claim to that as well. Elsewhere, the Germans with their military leader were unable to find anything terribly military to do. This is one of their problems, so they spent money ruling and stuff like that, but they'd like to use them correctly. Maybe they should go to war with the Poles over Brandenburg to try to force its land conversion, although I think that's should have happened already. I'll look into that at the end of this turn. If it's as far along as I think it is, it certainly should have happened. And the Venetians have strengthened their economic position a little bit. We got that Magnate gone now, which takes some pressure off the Byzantines, who have a decent military ruler, but they're kind of beset with problems right now. Alright, I'm going to wrap this one up.